for some reason, it's a part of the feminist movement where, in order for women to prop themselves up, one of the objectives of feminism is that it has to make men feel low and put them down. And the example I gave earlier of, in a single mother household, the girl can have a college education, but the boy has a fourth grade reading level, is testament to that. It's like, well, how did you drop the ball on his education? And they grew up, both of them grew up in your house. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's almost innate, like, coddle the boy. Oh, he's had enough stress in this world.
Yes.
Girl, you better make some of yourself because you don't need no man. It's the weirdest thing to understand today in this world. But think about the boys. Like, women have been creating those boys for almost 3 generations now.
Mm-hmm.
So they think from a fear mindset. Intelligence scares them. It makes them feel inferior, right? So they've been placed in that mindset. It's not where they belong, right? It's not something that they would do if they were raised, if their father was in the home. Their father would have made them risk takers, not risk avoidant, right? These are a bunch of risk avoidant men around here.
Mike, let me ask you a question, because I know we've had a lot of conversations, and I do think the way that we and Shan, I know you're probably gonna get on me, but it's just out of curiosity for this, that when we preface single households, single, we always say single mother-led households, as opposed to also, like, the wording matters, fatherless households, right?
Yep.
Because the father is not there. So my question is if, especially being in these spaces, if we continue to say how important fathers in the household is, because it influences the outcome of the children, especially, I would say, even males, then why is there a lack of fathers being in home? It doesn't mean you have to be with the mother, because I think a lot of times men tie their relationships with their kids to the mom. So when they're not with the mom, then they necessarily don't invest in children, or not necessarily there with the children that they need to be. So my question to you is, if that's the case, then why aren't more of the dads stepping up to, I guess, counterbalance or counteract what the mom is doing?
I want to talk about today. We're going to talk about next week, but Mistaken just wants to talk about it today.
No, that's because that's something that he just pointed out, and that's what made me think about it.
But you're going more in detail, in depth with it. We could have just answered it next week.
I'm gonna do a live, and I'm gonna invite you, Mistaken. We could talk
now.
about
Okay,
yeah, because
now somebody's stealing our idea. Now we got to talk about it.
AP want to get in there too. I could tell.
Look, so and I want to make sure, because AP wants to make it about him. We're talking about in overall. When we're talking about, we're not talking about the percentage of you guys who are. We know that you're a great father. We've heard it we know that you're a great father. We know that there are great fathers. I got great fathers, and my kids have great fathers. People, Mistaken's husband's a great father. We know that great fathers exist. We're talking about the few where the father is not there. Because we did do research, because that we were just depending on, we were trying to decide whether that was going to be our topic this week or next week, which Mistaken.
Yeah. But that's not what I was getting into. What we discussed for next week is not the question that I asked.
It is. We're talking about fatherless homes. That's the umbrella. How does that not?
No, we were talking about fatherless homes, but
I'm afraid to answer.
No, but the other stuff that we were talking about under that did not have anything to do with the question that I just asked, is what I'm saying. We had talked about other things based on what we were reading.
It was going to be the whole segment. Why are we talking? Oh my God! It's just
okay. Go ahead.
I could have answered the question by now. Go
ahead, Trigger Mike.
All right. So one is that women control custody of the children.
They don't. They don't.
Women don't have primary custody of children.
They do, but what I read, because I read this when I was we were about to do fatherless home. Most men don't apply for custody of the kids. Most of them, when they go to court, you can read this yourself. Google it. What happens is now when we say primary custody, absolutely, probably so. But say custody, period. whether it be every other weekend how they do 1-2 days out of the week, and then the next weekend they alternate weekends, which is the custom that seems to be the standard when you ask for custody. A lot of times, what I read from the research when we were about to do that tonight, the show was men go into divorce saying that they think the kids should stay with the mama, and then they like that setup. But that's why you will find that a lot of men who are married and got a divorce, they are more involved with their kid because the court kind of already mandated with the divorce. Whereas men who, let's just say, had kids outside of wedlock and the courts were not involved, those are usually the ones who go astray because the court is not, it's nothing, and they don't really want to petition the courts. They think that, child support may come along with that, or other things may
No, they don't do it because it costs money.
TLA did talk on that. I heard him talk on that. Yeah.
It costs money to fight and lose.
What did TLA say?
He said that like he doesn't encourage them to, I guess, file for that type of position because of how much it's going to cost, and then, or I think he was just talking in general. Yeah,
I think he said you shouldn't put yourself on child support. I do remember him saying that about like going to put yourself on child support. You should.
Yeah, that might be that probably is a thing too. But it was just how much they're going to have to spend in general, and then getting or putting down the retainer or whatever, and then fighting that or something. But
but I have a question. So when we're talking about fighting for your kids, okay, because that's a big one. Because at the end of the day, we keep giving excuses to why they don't have custody. We're gonna keep on having kids who don't have fathers. Okay, so at this point, let's talk about a solution. Let's not get out of the race before we even get into the race. That's not just assume, because what we're doing is giving guys a way out. Oh, I'm just gonna let it go because she can just do what she want to do. If you've never tried, because I know for me, if anybody tries to take my child away from me, I'm going to go to hell and back. Because there's no price for price for my child. That's just me. I'm a mom, that's just me. And I feel the same way about my kid's father. I would hope that that's how, fortunately we have a great co-parenting situation, but I would hope that would be the same as it relates to how they will feel about their kid. We're talking about the same guys who will bet they consistent when it comes to the vagina. They gonna go hard, not bend over backwards for some cuckoo. You know what I'm saying? Why not go bend over backwards?
Yeah,
most men, the state too. Just a caveat. That's definitely going to matter is the state. But yeah, go ahead.
Most of those guys that you're talking about don't have $37,000 to go through the long legal procedure to try to get some type of custody of your kids, and you still don't get the kind of custody that you want. If you're not married, typically the state will take over the case to get the money for the child support. That has nothing to do with custody. So you have to go to the court, and typically the first part of it doesn't cost anything. We're talking anywhere from $250 to $750 to file the petition. Then you have to go into court.
So what you're saying, because I hear what you're saying, and it is all legit. We just got to suck up the fact that you're given there's a reason not to be a father.
Well, I'm sorry, but what it was saying, from what we were reading, what it was saying is actually most of these situations are resolved outside of court. So that doesn't necessarily go along with what the AP is saying.
It depends on the mom.
That's what I just said. Majority of
there's struggling women out there. We know
right. Majority of these setups in terms of custody and all of that are done without even getting a judge involved. So we can't use that as an excuse in terms of not being involved.
That's actually, that might even be worse. That might even be worse. When we look at the narrative, we don't ever get the father's side of the story. The first person who's rushing to tell the story first is usually the woman, so she can control the narrative. Mm-hmm. Fathers want to be involved. Listen, mothers I told you, they wield power. The child is power. They wield power immaturely and incorrectly. The state needs to get involved at this point to say mandatory 50-50 custody at least. Give that to men if you want to see men involved. You cannot. So this is actually proof of this. There is proof all over the place that a father is more important to a child's development after infancy. Look at all the risk factors a child comes up with immediately after his father leaves. They can mandate, a doctor can mandate this in any state at any given time to say, I'm petitioning for this and I will not rest until somebody makes it so, because all of these jails y'all trying to build, you wouldn't even need them if you just give these people 50-50 custody. The father will take care of it. Even in a single father-led home, the child has dramatically better outcomes, has like an 80% reduction in chance of going to jail, simply because he came from his house and not hers. So until the state gets involved, we cannot presume that women are wielding this power responsibly. Oh, I want you to see your kid. No, they are using this kid to take jabs at him. And you know what's funny about the
I don't
custody
think that's
thing?
the majority, though.
You know the funny thing about the custody thing? If a mom misses a visitation, a father has to hire a lawyer to petition the court to say she missed it, and then wait for the court date so she can miss every visitation she wants to until the court date. Right? So it's like, yeah, people do not understand the system against fathers. And I don't have the situation. I'm just going on the facts that I do know. It does not work in a man's favor at all. Y'all are oversimplifying it. I'm telling you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Coach.
I don't have kids, so, and I only know what I know from the people that I know that experience this stuff and what I hear on the internet. But as mothers, Shannon mistaken, what do you think? Because it's easy to believe that there's some bad deadbeats out there, right? What do you think is holding you back from like believing that it's possible that there's a lot of deadbeat moms out there, or like even majority maybe?
We come in contact with them all the time.
Like what percentage would you say? I guess
a lot of them. Well, I don't know. They're deadbeat. They're just not proper.
I wanted to curse, but I was trying not to.
I was just going to say they're just not as involved as they can be. From my viewpoint, what I see, most moms want the father involved because they want to break. Just that simple. A lot of times being a single mom, just from the women that I know who are single moms, a lot of times they are having to do everything. So if you have a father that is involved, that helps alleviate you having to have, 24/7 with the child all the time. Now, the caveat to that I have also seen is that sometimes there's stipulations to that, where the mother will be like, well, if you have, such and such, then I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. Like they try to control the way that the father
stay on their terms.
So they're not deadbeat, but they do that shit. Sorry, I didn't want to cuss, but I had to say it.
Well, no. So let me just say this. So let me give you a scenario, and this is the real issue, and this is what I would like to see happen. I don't want, if a woman is not letting you, I really want men to be like, nah, I'm not taking that shit. I want it that bad. You understand?
Do you know who you're talking to?
Mike, can I?
Women, we're saying this to women, and you expect them to just comply? Wait, I'm sorry.
No,
you're saying this. Wait. If this was a marriage, let me just say, if this was a marriage, if the person you marry is not the same person you divorce. So you expect this person to be amicable and say, this is what I want. This is how the kids did it. After they're pissed at you and you're ruining your relationship. And we know that's not even the case for married people. So now let's take people who were never together in the first place. A woman who feels scorned that she's not with the dude and that she had the baby, maybe so they could stay together. And now he's trying to control the situation. Do you know how agreeable that woman is to that man? Come on. Let's be serious about these women.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
I'm a nice guy, and I wouldn't even be able to break that firewall down.
Okay, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying that there's really no, so it's really no need to talk about fatherless households, because you're saying that there's no way around it. It's just gonna happen.
I actually, that's exactly what I'm saying. Unless you were blessed with an amicable situation in which a woman took the role and keep you involved in that child's life, I'm not an advocate for none of this shit. I'm an advocate for marriage. That's it.
Facts.
It's the only. That's it. I ain't got nothing else for you. Like I legit would have knocked a woman up and married her and be like, God damn, I'm gonna make this work somehow because it's what's best for the children.
And
I
men just
don't
don't have
advocate for nothing else.
unprotected sex with these women that we're talking, like the women that we're talking about. Just
Don't have sex with them. Period.
Yeah,
Get unprotected.
right.
Like
I'm saying,
that,
like, yeah.
that's kind of the point I was making a few moments ago. If as men, stop. Just stop. It's really that simple to me. You want to see change? Stop.